Right now, in this exact moment, you are doing something no AI system on Earth can actually do. You are listening to these words, not scanning them, not processing them, listening to them. And here is how I know. If I stop mid-sentence, your mind will try to finish it. Not because you are trained to, because you understand what the sentence is for. Somewhere behind your ears, these sounds are becoming meaning. That meaning is connecting to memories. Those memories are connecting to feelings. All of that, simultaneously, without effort, without instruction. Now, a language model can produce a sentence that sounds exactly like this one. But here is the difference. AI doesn't understand. It predicts. And those are not even close to the same thing. By the end of this, you will never use the word intelligence the same way again. We decided something, quietly, collectively, and very quickly, that because AI produces intelligent-looking outputs, it must be intelligent. It generates essays, it writes code, it passes medical exams, it holds conversations that feel, genuinely feel, like talking to someone who understands you. So, we gave it the word, intelligence. We took the most important word we have for the most complex thing we know and attached it to something that has never once understood a single word it has ever produced. You think that's dramatic. Stay with me, because before we talk about AI, we need to talk about something older, something that took 300,000 years to build. Intelligence is not a modern invention. It is not a product of schools, of language, of civilization. Intelligence predates all of those things by hundreds of thousands of years. When the first humans stood on the African savanna 300,000 years ago, they were already fully intelligent. Not partially, not primitively, fully. The same cognitive hardware you are running right now, the same capacity for abstraction, for causal reasoning, for imagining futures that don't exist yet, all of it, already there, already operational. But here is what most people miss. Intelligence didn't evolve to impress anyone. It evolved to keep something alive, long enough to matter. Every cognitive ability you have, pattern recognition, emotional reasoning, creative problem solving, each one exists because at some point, not having it meant dying. Intelligence is survival, made cognitive. So, what is AI trying to survive? Nothing. It has never had anything to lose. And that changes everything. In 1950, mathematician Alan Turing proposed what became known as the Turing test. His question was deliberately narrow. Can a machine produce responses indistinguishable from a human's? Notice what he did not ask. Not, can a machine understand? Not, can a machine feel? Not, can a machine want anything? Just, can it produce responses that look human? Imitation. That was the game. Turing knew it. He named it honestly. But we forgot. In 1980, philosopher John Searle published a thought experiment called the Chinese room. Imagine you are locked in a room. Through a slot in the door, someone passes you a note in Chinese. You don't speak Chinese. You don't understand a single symbol. But you have a rule book. Thousands of pages. When you see this symbol, respond with that symbol. You follow the rules. You pass the response back. To the person outside, you appear to understand Chinese. You understand nothing. You are manipulating symbols according to rules with zero comprehension of what they mean. That is every large language model, every single one. Not as a flaw to be fixed. as a description of what it is: a very fast Chinese room. Here is where it gets important. When you understand something, you can take that understanding into a completely new situation you have never encountered before. Generalization, the core of human intelligence. AI can't. Not in the way you do. Give it a genuinely novel problem, not a variation of something it has seen, and it confabulates. Confident, fluent, wrong. Not because it is lying, because it cannot tell the difference between a pattern that matches and a truth that holds. And it cannot tell the difference because telling the difference requires something no AI has ever had: caring whether you're right. Let me show you the difference, the way it actually lives. Two students, same classroom, same question. Why did the Roman Empire fall? The first student has processed everything. Every textbook, every lecture, every essay ever written on the topic. Their answer is comprehensive, well-structured, historically accurate. It references Gibbon, economic pressures, military overextension, political collapse. The professor listens, impressed. But here is what happened inside the first student while they produced that answer. Nothing. No curiosity, no frustration, no wondering, no connection, no stakes, no meaning. Pattern completion, executed flawlessly. The second student has processed less. But somewhere in the middle of answering, they stop. Because they suddenly wonder, did Rome actually fall? Or did it transform into something we don't recognize as Rome, but that is still, in some sense, here? The answer gets messy. Less comprehensive, it raises questions it doesn't answer. But inside that answer, there is something the first student's answer will never have. A mind. A mind that got genuinely curious in the middle of a question, that followed the curiosity even when it wasn't on the exam, that connected the past to the present through something it actually cares about. The first student is AI. The second student is you. The professor might grade the first one higher, but only one of them was actually thinking. Intelligence is not the production of correct outputs. It is the navigation of genuine uncertainty by a mind that has something at stake in getting it right. It is the ability to care about truth, not because you were trained to produce true-sounding sentences, but because you live in a world where being wrong lands on you. Intelligence is embodied. It lives in something that gets hungry, that feels pain, that wants things, that loves people and can lose them. Those experiences, every discomfort, every longing, every grief, are not distractions from intelligence. They are the substrate of it. When you understand loss, you understand it because you have lost something, not because you processed 10 million sentences where the word loss appeared. This is why AI can describe grief with devastating accuracy and feel nothing, not as a flaw, as an exact description of what it is. A system that has read everything humans have ever written about having something to lose, without ever having anything to lose. The map is not the territory. The description of an experience is not the experience. So here is what you are actually living through. Not the birth of a new intelligence. The birth of the most sophisticated imitation of intelligence ever constructed. And the reason this matters, the reason this is not academic, is because of what we do next. If we believe AI is intelligent, we will defer to it in places where deference is dangerous. We will trust its medical outputs without understanding it has no concept of your death. We will accept its legal reasoning without understanding it has no concept of justice. We will follow its recommendations without understanding it has no concept of your life. A system that cannot understand consequences should not be trusted with consequential decisions without a human who can. That human, the one who understands consequences because they live inside them, is not a redundancy. They are the entire point. Your intelligence, the thing you have been using so automatically you have never once thought it to be remarkable, is the product of 300,000 years of survival under pressure. Every cognitive ability you have was paid for by an ancestor who needed it badly enough that not having it meant dying. AI was built in 70 years by people who did not die if it failed to understand them. That is not a small difference. That is the entire difference. So the next time someone tells you AI is becoming more intelligent, ask them one question. More intelligent than what? Because intelligence, real intelligence, is not a benchmark score. It is not a parameter count. It is what happens when a mind that has something to lose moves carefully through a world that does not forgive mistakes. AI has never made a mistake that stayed with it. You have never made a decision you couldn't feel. One of those things is a tool. The other is you. Do not confuse them.